Hi everyone. I want to give you something to think about. This first off starts with the challenge. And the challenge is to let go of your preconceived ideas about a wheelchair that are negative. I want to ask you to see a wheelchair as a tool. That's the same as a saw or a drill, or if you're into cooking, a microwave oven, or, the whisk that you use when preparing meals, etc. I want to ask that you see a wheelchair as being neutral. Then I want to ask you to take a step further with me in this process. If you were 19 years old again, or about to turn 19, able-bodied, graduating from high school, and your parents said, here's a car, what they're doing is giving you freedom. They're giving you transportation. It's being entrusted in you to be used with responsibility. And it's the ability to spread your wings and move on in your life to what's next for you. Now let's change that scenario just a little bit. You're 23 years old. There's been an accident, and all of a sudden, you've lost most of your ability to walk. A wheelchair has been offered to you. Are you going to take it, or are you going to leave it behind and try to continue on with life as if nothing happened to you? To me, the decision's obvious. You take the wheelchair and then try to keep moving on with life. I'm not saying that it's an easy decision, but it's one that sometimes you face when you've not been expecting it. The wheelchair's been designed for enhancing your life. If you can't walk, but you still have the desire to live life, are you going to sit home on your sofa and miss out on spending time with friends, or going to church, or going to your favorite social activity? Or are you going to take a risk and accept the wheelchair and see what it has to offer? I realize that it takes some time to let go of the life that you did have, and that you need time to build up your skill set for the life that's now been handed to you. But in all honesty, it's a tool to enhance your life, to live your life, and to help give you life the same as when you entered into this world. It's like a second start. And if you can think about it that way, then the little victories that you have, like the first time you leave your home with the wheelchair and come back, or the first time you face a breakdown and work through the process of getting yourself home safely, it's like building the confidence to where you don't need someone beside you as you're driving a car and you no longer have your learner's permit. I've had people say to me that they'd rather be dead than have to use a wheelchair, but they're not in the situation. And there's some times that people are going to say something to you that you need to just immediately let go of and be focused on what the steps are in front of you and the goals that you currently have. It might hurt if you're still feeling fragile and don't have a lot of experience with the wheelchair. But as long as you get up the next morning and you're ready to face life, you're going to come ahead in life through this. You know, one of the skills that I used, and I've talked about this in other videos, is I keep a high priority to-do list. So my pain went out of control 5 days ago. And to be honest, the past 5 days have been a physical marathon. You could ask some of the guys at the gym. They could tell, just by the look on my face and the energy or lack of energy in my voice, that I was feeling what's wrong with my body. But I was still there at the pool trying to help myself. There's times like this where I look at my to-do list and it's not practical for me to get into the wiring that I'm working on for either enhancements with the wheelchair or some of the tools that I'm prepping for my life. But then there's other quieter activities that also make sense to me. So I encourage you to have both on your list. Something that you can do now that is easy, enjoyable, relaxing, doesn't require a lot of mental focus and a lot of effort to complete. And then something that's also going to challenge you. So then when you wake up, you have the option. If it's a bad day, but starting on your less demanding item gets you out of bed and gets you started with the day. I've noticed for myself that I should not make a decision about how the day is and how my body is until I've been out of bed for about 10 minutes. And just to have that time to stretch, to do the first few transfers with the wheelchair, and just to gauge where my body is at the 10-minute mark. And then there's the option of what I'm going to do in the day. What do I need? If I'm feeling vulnerable, what am I going to do with it? Or if I'm ready to step in life and move on with the day, then what's on my high priority to-do list? As you go through life, there's going to be periodically people that are going to give you the equivalent of golden nuggets, the same as bringing gold up from the ground, to help you in your life. So my peer group knows me and knows my interests and knows what to say to me that helps, knows when to listen, and there's a relationship that's been built over time. There's someone that can be talked to if I'm feeling weak and need someone to strictly listen. Then there's times people that don't know me well will come up and say a word of encouragement that's pretty near from heaven, that's life-giving, and something that you can hold on to and think about if your body's in bad shape. I would encourage you to buy yourself a binder or a notebook that you could write these things down when they happen to you, so that on the days when you're feeling vulnerable, you have some encouragement for you to help you through feeling weak. There was a lesson I learned a while ago that it's easier to feel angry because anger is an empowering emotion compared to feeling weak or hurt because it's a vulnerable emotion. part of the process of embracing the life with the wheelchair is facing your fears, acknowledging them, and working through them. Some will require the help of your doctor or a social worker or a counselor. There's others that your friends are going to be able to understand. The thing about this is not to be taking on so much of the picture to overwhelm you and cause you to shut down and not do anything. I'm telling you this to be aware of it so that when it happens, you'll know to address a little bit less next time. But it's part of how I manage my life, because if I take on too much, I exceed my limits, and unfortunately, it's not helpful. So breaking down into manageable pieces works, because then you just work through it, step A to B and C and so on, and you accomplish the bigger picture by taking on the smaller tasks that come at you. So why I'm making this video is to tell you that there is a life to be lived after having an accident or a disease comes along and basically pulls the carpet out from under you. And then to tell you that you still can live your life with a wheelchair, and it gets easier over time. You build the skill set, you gain confidence in the skills of operating a wheelchair and living your life with your mobility. And soon enough, you're back to your new 100% and living the life that you now have. I challenge you to be thankful in this situation. I challenge you to work through if you start feeling jealous from friends who are able to do more. Remember, a physical disability is very much in your face, whereas people who are going through relationships or financial struggles, it's easier to hide. And God's got you covered in the midst of the journey. It's just going a step at a time and having the will to keep going even when the mountain seems insurmountable. I want to ask you to think about this. It's probably the best I've got for you for someone who's just starting out and is almost in a panic mode of what do I hold on to and think about right now. I hope this helps. I do believe in you and want to see you live your life doing the things that bring you pleasure, using your talents and your abilities, and still being part of the community. Will you do that for me? Thanks so much for this time that you spent with me today. Bye for now.